welcome to the Just Gonna Say It podcast. We're going to do our No Such Thing as a Dumb Question episode. Is it 3? We're going to do that today. I pulled a bunch of stuff from the comment section, so we'll get to that in a minute. If you have guitar questions, put them in the chat and put a bunch of question marks in front of them. We'll try to get to them. As well as if you use a super chat, I will drop what I'm doing and we will get to that question right away. Do me a favor and hit the subscribe button and the like button if you like guitar stuff. We're trying to get to 100,000 and we're getting pretty close, which is pretty sweet. The other thing is, make sure you support those links down there. You know, Sweetwater and Stu Mac and of course Dylan Talks Tone if you want to buy pickups. It's all about that. So do me a favor and do that. All right. So welcome everybody to the old Just Gonna Say It podcast. Audio is funky. I don't know why the audio would be funky. It sounds good over here. Let me know if there's something weird going on still. So a couple things. News-wise, I wanted to talk before we got into our dumb questions section. I want to go over one thing in the news, which I think is kind of interesting. Everybody gets really, really pissed when Gibson sues somebody. But everyone gets pissed because Gibson sues somebody over defending their own trademark. But then everybody is also up in arms all the time because why would somebody like DiMarzio have a trademark on a color and on a name of a pickup that should be in a Gibson? Good question. So now Gibson is actually suing DiMarzio for the use of the term PAF, which DiMarzio has trademarked, as well as that double cream situation. So where do you stand on that, Mr. I don't like it when Gibson sues people. I think it's kind of dumb. Anyway, I think it's going to be fine. Doesn't matter. When can I get the under pickguard cover and loaded telly switch plate? Joey Dano, Doug, I will get with you on it. We can do that. I don't see why we can't. Let's see what else. Yeah, so it's an interesting thing that is happening with that whole Gibson DiMarzio thing. I'm interested to see how it's going to turn out. I'm actually friends with Larry DiMarzio's attorney, and so I was going to try to send him an email this week and see if he could give me any insight on what is going on there. He might not be able to because of what's going on, but as soon as I can, I'll try to get some good information on that and see what we can figure out. Kind of an interesting thing. What else has been going on? We're making a ton of pickups, humbuckers and P90s today, and many there has already been a bunch of sets of the 10th anniversary pickups that are shipping, and many of them are shipping some more. So, yeah. Gibson slept on it, so tough luck for them. They shouldn't be able to just litigate their way out of their own mistake. I mean, so here's the interesting thing. The law is the law, and if it gets interpreted in their favor, it is the law. So it's not like you can't litigate yourself out of a situation because that's what the law is. So, you know, whether you like it or not, that doesn't even matter. It's kind of not up to us. So it's kind of interesting stuff. But protecting, like Skilly Automatic said, protecting intellectual property is very important. So it's very important to DiMarzio to do it, and it should have been important to Gibson to do it in the past. However, sometimes you don't know. I guess PAF would, like, see, patent applied for is a phrase that's used for all kinds of stuff. Like anytime you have an application in for a patent, that particular product is patent applied for. So the PAF thing, sometimes it happens, and with the color too, that with the cream thing, that you might not think that you would need, like there might be no need to trademark a color or trademark a particular term because it doesn't mean anything. And then suddenly it does mean something and somebody jumps on it. You know, there's been all kinds of crazy, for example, I'll give you an example. Premier Guitar, they have trademarked the term rig rundown. So you can't use rig rundown. You know, like if I try to do a rig rundown video for somebody, you can't use that. Well, I mean, that's just a couple of words put together. Doesn't really mean anything, but now it does because it's become a thing for them. So sometimes in the original kind of, the original, use of the phrase, it doesn't even matter. Trademarking a color is stupid, whether legal or not. That is not true, actually. UPS, FedEx, Home Depot, Lowe's, all kinds of places trademark colors, because what that does is that keeps your brand separate in a particular field. So, if you start up a delivery company, you cannot use DHL yellow, you cannot use UPS brown, and you cannot use a white truck with purple and orange letters on it. That is in that. Now, if you start up a plumbing company, you could probably use UPS brown, but I don't know how litigious they are about that. If you start up a hardware store, you cannot use Home Depot orange. You can, if you start up a guitar store, you could put a Home Depot orange on there. So there are reasons for all that stuff. It makes total sense that all these things should exist. The lack of understanding of the law is part of I see it all the time, and other things that I'm interested in. It's like people don't understand how the law works and they get pissed. And it's like, well, do some friggin' research. It's not that hard. Everything is, on this side of it anyway, is public domain. Like, it's not that big a deal. And if you want to do something, get a lawyer. It's not that big a deal. And if you think it's stupid, then chances are you don't own a business. I mean, really, your personal involvement with protecting your brand, or your personal need to protect your brand, is probably commensurate with the amount that this matters to you. If you work at Walmart, or if you are, a customer service person at T-Mobile, then, you probably don't care. And I invent stuff and I make a product. I do care. So, and the more money I make, or any company makes, the more important it is. So it's kind of commensurate with that. It's, a lot of people think it's dumb. A lot of people think it's not necessary or it's stupid. It's because they don't have experience with it themselves and they're not doing it themselves. So it's an interesting subject. It's buy all the colors you can. Hang on one second. Yeah, tighten this up. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it's an interesting subject. That can, let's see, that can't, yeah, it's definitely a thing. Okay. So let's get into, There's No Such Thing as a Dumb Question, Volume 3. We've got some stuff and we're going to throw it up on the screen here. If you, have guitar questions, please put them in the chat. And as these questions come up, if it spawns more questions and we talk about those things, I've got a bunch here. I might not get to all of them, so we'll just see what happens. And the other thing is, if you use a super chat, it will bump you to the top. So there you go. First one. Let's see. So we did our video. Sorry about the thing there. We did our video on the Texas Toast Challenger Level 1. What a phenomenal guitar. It's just a fantastic instrument. I won't buy any guitar that the maker can't figure out how to use less than 3 screws to hold on a truss rod cover. This guitar shouldn't even have a truss rod cover. It's interesting. Again, I'm not going to judge somebody else for thinking something's important. I think that's dumb. But if you have a thing about how many screws are in the truss rod cover, I guess you do you, boo. But you could ask about it. I know that in that comment thread on that YouTube video, Matt chimed in there and said, if you don't want a truss rod cover on that guitar, you could do that because the truss rod cavity on that guitar actually looks pretty nice. I think most people think that a truss rod cover is a finishing piece, but if for some reason you don't want that on there, you could probably ask for that. It makes total sense that you could ask for that. And on that, I've seen it with it off, because I've seen their necks, in the raw, I guess you could say, and they are very nice. So it's possible that you could ask for that and have no truss rod cover on that guitar. What do you all think? Dumb question. Who makes the best tuning machines? It depends on what you're doing. Spurzl makes great locking tuners. Klusen makes great locking tuners. Hipshot makes great locking tuners. They also all make, Spurzl doesn't make non-locking tuners. That's why I said it like that. For most people, here's what I would say. For most people, who, we're playing at home, we got a collection of guitars at home, and, you've got, let's say you bought a Squire or whatever, that you're, I need to replace the tuners on it because it's kind of an inexpensive guitar. And, that's kind of one of the things they cheap out on, right? I would say what brand that you get, whether it be Goto or Hipshot or Klusen or Grover or whomever, doesn't matter. Just skip the bottom tier Amazon everything. Like everybody's like, I can get this blah, blah, Music Lily or whatever, and it's just as good as. No, it ain't. Get one of the good brands, get a decent, spend 50 or 60 bucks for a set of tuners. Typically, these days. So it kind of depends where, but all that stuff on Amazon, just skip it. Do yourself a favor and just skip it and get something good. And beyond that, I think you'll be okay. Right. Let me see here. I think if I delete these at the time. Oh, okay. Here's another one. I'm sorry, but I just don't think I could deal with it saying Texas Toast on the headstock. Why did they choose that? I hope it has a good meaning for them. So here's my question. Why does any brand choose anything? Fender is a dumb name. That's a car part. I know it's Leo Fender, but like, who cares? I don't know. What I think is interesting is when people think something's like really stupid like that, like Texas Toast Guitars, the name of their company or their logo, it's because they don't know them. It's because they're not connected with the people that make the guitar. And that's the point of buying a guitar like that. If you don't have a connection with a boutique builder, then don't buy their guitar. If you don't have a connection with me and you say, why are your pickups more expensive than somebody else's pickups, or these pickups are whatever, then don't buy my stuff. I don't need you as a customer. If you're my friend, if we have made friends through emails or Facebook, or you have felt like you've made a friend through watching our videos, like you've become part of the community, then buy our stuff, because you appreciate what we do and you know what we do and you know what goes into it. But anybody who doesn't appreciate something should not buy that thing. I 100% believe that. If you're we're going to get into this later, but if you are a Harley Benton guy who thinks it's just as good as a Gibson, then don't buy a Gibson. It's totally fine. Get what you want. And if you don't have a personal connection, if it doesn't move you, then just skip it. And honestly, you'll do everybody a favor, because typically people that buy something that aren't kind of meant to have that thing or don't have that kind of connection with that thing make terrible customers too. Because then they're going to be the ones that have these expectations they don't understand, and they'll complain about it and whatever else. One of the things we do here really well at Dylan Talks Tone is we manage customer expectations on the front end. So when you call me or message me, don't ever call me. If you message me on the chat thing on the internet and you ask me a question, hey, what kind of pickup should I put in X or Y guitar, or why should I buy this pickup over this one, this model over this one, or whatever, and we have a little conversation about it. We explain it. We talk about it. You buy that part, you put it in your guitar, and then you are happy with that thing. The folks that skip those steps, the folks that just, and that's why I know if you go and look on our website, I think there's only a couple of times we've ever had anything less than 5 stars reviewing our products on our website. And to be fair, just so everybody knows, I never block any review. They all go through. I don't curate them unless it's like a spam one or something, because we do have some of those. But if somebody says your shipping took too long, if somebody said I tried to email you and you didn't email me back right away, I put all those up because those are all learning experiences and we all need to know. So somebody like Texas Toast, they build a guitar like that, they put that on their peg head, you don't like it, then don't buy the guitar. Like, once you understand that company, buy the instrument once you really get it and really enjoy knowing what that name means. Because it's not what the name means to them, it's what it means to you. Because it's your guitar once you take that thing home. You know, something to think about. Okay, unboxing a Martin D28. A very dangerous practice of shipping fully tuned. It should have been detuned before shipping. Someone at Martin needs to be reprimanded. This is one of the biggest myths and old school misconceptions of all time, to the point that when you go to UPS with a guitar-shaped box, of course, they know me by now because I ship a guitar almost every week. They will ask you, well, they used to ask me, and I explained it to them. They used to ask me, because it's like their policy, if this is a guitar, did you take this tension off the strings? And I honestly, I used to lie to them and say that I did, because they will not ship it if you hadn't done that. Until I explained it to somebody. I was like, okay, so a guitar is built to have tension on it. And if you don't have tension on it, it can possibly do more damage and mess up the setup and everything if you take the tension off for a long period of time. Not always, but sometimes. If you leave tension on the guitar, it will be fine, because that's what it's designed to do. That's what the truss rod does, blah, 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 blah. I had a whole conversation about it. This is a myth that just needs to die. Absolutely a myth that needs to die. It's an interesting, I don't know why people do it, but let's see. Let's see. Nope, you cannot call me on the phone. You cannot call me on the phone. That is one of the things. Hottest, taking the tension off of the strings, help a guitar that's thrown out of a 747 onto the tarmac. You know, here's the thing. A guitar that's going to get broken is going to get broken. A guitar with tension on the strings or not is not going to get broken any more quickly than a guitar with no tension. And depending on the guitar, you could actually say that if it doesn't have tension on it, that it would break faster. So, you know, the guitar is made to have this, like, you know, 110 pounds of string tension. It's made to do that. And then you're holding it, you're playing it, it's fine. It's fine. This is like completely, it's completely not even a thing. And what's funny, so somebody said Kiesel ships their guitars in tune. Every guitar that I get has tension on the strings. I buy well, we're a little slow this year, but usually I buy a guitar every month for the channel. I bought some more expensive guitars this year, so I kind of spaced it out and bought less. I bought better, fewer, and than I did last year. But every guitar that I buy comes with tension on the strings from every manufacturer. If that was going to be a problem, you cannot tell me that Gibson, Fender, Martin, PRS, Yamaha, who else have we got guitars from? Would not ship with tension on the strings. And I mean, and if I know airlines break guitars and have, introduce those kind of problems and stuff, I get that. But if the guitar is going to break, it's going to break. Let's see. If you could go back in time and give yourself advice, what would you say to your younger self? Buy more Bitcoin. No, I'm just kidding. Nothing, because I don't live in the past. I am not a regret person, and I am super happy with where I am in my life right now. Guitar gear should be cool. Doesn't the MGK guitar kind of bar you from this topic? I think the fact that you're asking this question means that you don't fully understand this topic, and I do. Because you know what? I'm willing to play that guitar because it is cool. Let's see. Best guitar for under $1,500 in 2023. We're talking about the Texas Toast guitar again. I think you overlooked a brand of guitars from Reverend in the $750 to $1,500 range. First of all, hi, I'm back here. We did not say this is the best guitar in a particular price range. Well, I guess I did. Under $1,500. I didn't say that we were going to look at every brand. Also, endorsing a product and excluding other great products because the product you're endorsing contains a product you sell and create makes it less palatable. Let's parse this out a little bit. I really, really like this comment. So, you're right. Reverends are awesome. They are really cool. But they are not a boutique instrument made in the United States by two guys in Colorado with all boutique parts. Okay. So a Reverend is a Korean made guitar that gets then shipped to Ohio, and they do a setup on it and they send it out to the retailers. They have typically Artec pickups in them, which is a Korean pickup winding house. They are great. They're really good guitars. They're very cool, but they have more character. I will give you that they have more character than, a Strat copy or a Tele copy or a Les Paul copy or whatever, right? Like Reverends, they have some character. They're pretty cool. And I do not argue that at all whatsoever. But they are not a boutique instrument, and they do not have the high-end parts on them. Hipshot tuners, hand wound pickups, the finishes, all that kind of stuff. That's all just factory made stuff. In a good factory, don't get me wrong, they're great, but it's not the same thing. They're not in the same league at all. As far as promoting a product that I would put my pickups in, I think this is a little bit backwards. Okay. So you might say, okay, this is not palatable because you are just promoting a product just because your stuff is in it. But I'm going to flip that around on you. Okay. Here's what I will say. I will not put my parts in a guitar that I would not be happy to put them in. If Texas Toast Guitars made a crap product, I would not sell them parts. I've done this before. I have actually, there's a couple brands, even big names that that I no longer have anything to do with because I did not agree with things. And I was like, nope, I'm done. I'm not doing it. And they were very lucrative, but I would do what's right for me. And I would not put my parts in those guitars if I did not believe in those guys and if I did not believe in their product. I would stop supplying them. I would tell them to go somewhere else. I have done it. I've done that more times than I've ever even had my stuff. So let's say, we've probably been in a half a dozen brands over the years. I've probably turned down 3 times that many. So to me, it's all about it's not the lack of sincerity promoting a product that I would put my stuff in. It's more, to me, strength of character that I would only put my product in something good. So, just a different take on it, just to share that with you. I have faith. I have faith in their stuff. I really do. Okay, so vintage guitar intonation. You can't hear it anyway. First of all, we can hear it. Second of all, that's not how you intonate. When plucking the 12, use the lightest touch possible to register a clear note. Doing otherwise will be all over the place every time. Finally, if a guitar doesn't intonate properly, it's almost always the nut. Okay, first of all, some people can hear it. I will give you that, but most people can't. And I know this was the statement that I made in this video was, I know that people cannot hear less than about 3 cents. That's science. That's not me. That's science. Okay. That's not me saying you can't hear something. A person with good hearing, okay, can only hear about 3 cents difference. And most of the people that watch my channel, let's face it, we've listened to a lot of rock music through big stacks in our lives, and our hearing is not optimal. So no, humans cannot hear as good as a tuner. They cannot. That is science. It's not me saying that. Second of all, it's not how you intonate. When you pluck the 12th, use the lightest touch possible. I 100% agree with that. I don't know why I would have said anything different in the video. In fact, I know I didn't. Because yeah, if you over fret the guitar, you'll be pulling it out of tune. In fact, I know for sure that I addressed that in that video, that the further you have to pull down and the harder you have to pull down, the more likely you are to pull the guitar away from its original or intended pitch. So make sure that you do not do that. Finally, if a guitar does not intonate properly, it's almost always the nut. This is not true. This is one of the elements. The nut needs to be at the correct height. Now, here's the thing. Let's just say this. When the string is at rest and it's sitting on the guitar, right? You have 24.5-inch scale or 24/75 scale or 25.5-inch scale, whatever scale, doesn't matter. And you have that at tension, right? So you've got, 70 pounds of tension or whatever it is. When you fret the note, no matter where you do it, from here all the way to the 12th fret, and you pull down on it, you're adding tension to the string. Therefore, you are automatically pulling it away from its resting tension. So you're pulling it sharp. Okay. When you do it down here at the nut, you are exerting a different type of tension because you have longer span from here to the bridge and then a shorter span from here to the nut. And then that changes as you come up the fretboard. So what this means is that no note is actually perfectly intonated. So that's why a guitar is not, like, for example, that is why it is hard to play a guitar in an orchestra, because of the way the tuning works. So the guitar is never really perfectly in tune. So what you have to do, the reason I say it's not always the nut and it's not almost always the nut, is because the saddle height is just another nut on the other end. So if the saddle height is too high, it's the same thing as the nut being too high, but it just affects it in a different place. So you have to decide, what kind of setup do I want on my guitar? Do I want the nut to be really, 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 really low? Do I want my saddle height? Now, of course, both being as low as possible are going to be optimal, but that's not how we all play. So we need to make sure that we adjust for how we play. Then once how we play, we need to decide how much and where on the neck we can handle as far as intonation being in and out. So it's just kind of It's kind of a thing. We need to figure that out more than anything. Let's see. We got a super chat. Just a little Canadian super chat for the channel. Thank you so much, Dean. I appreciate the super chat. I think that's the only one we've got so far. We're old and half deaf. It's funny because it's true. It is true, man. It's totally true. Do you have to keep reminding me about the old part? Scott. Yeah, for real, right? Excellent. Let's just see here. Okay, I got that one already. The setup should always be to your individual playing style. One person's too high as another person's just right. Exactly. And when you go higher, you have to decide how perfect you want your intonation to be on what end of the neck. So do you play cowboy chords most of the time, or do you play the wheedly diddlies more most of the time? You have to set your guitar up accordingly to get the most optimal intonation for that group of notes. You can get the whole guitar pretty close, but not totally on, because that's how a guitar is made. Then when you add high action on either end of the fretboard, that brings it into play. So you, like was mentioned there, you have to do it, you have to do it according to how you play. Super important. I got another super chat. Just a hello from your favorite Gibson fanboy. Hey, what's going on, Jim Woodard? Thank you so much for saying that and the super chat and bringing out the question that we had. What can the location of fret buzz tell you about your setup, bridge, neck relief, etc.? So neck relief should always just be basically flat with a couple of thousandths of neck relief if you want it. 100%. That establishes the playing surface. Okay. The flatness of the neck is the playing surface. Once you have the flatness of the neck as the playing surface, then your buzzes are only going to come from two places. Really. They're going to come from, well, okay, let's say this. They're either going to come from the frets not being level or the nut being too low. Frets not being level, you'll be able to spot in a certain spot. The nut being too low, you will be able to catch that in the first 3 or 4 frets of the guitar. But remember that the better your frets are, the lower you can go on everything. So, all right. Oh, hang on. Okay, was Glenn Fricker wrong about pickups? This is a bad test. You're playing on different guitars. They'll all have slightly different pickups placements, angles, etc. Low output will have different amp interactions based on the height from the strings. Hell, even the feel of guitars can cause you to play differently. So I don't know why this makes me wrong, or why this would make this a bad test. So the premise of his video was that he was talking about high gain stuff. And it basically doesn't make any difference. Pickups don't make any difference in high gain. And I disagree because, honestly, because of all the things that this dude said, it doesn't make it a bad test that we're using different guitars, because it doesn't matter. When we're talking about high output pickups versus low output pickups, we're talking about using high gain with either pickup. They act differently. It doesn't matter what guitar it's in. So if you have a PAF style wound pickup that's 7.8K and you run a lot of gain through that thing, it's going to act differently and hit your amp differently and do all kinds of things differently than a 15K ceramic pickup, no matter the position, no matter the guitar, no matter the anything else. So it doesn't matter. We're talking about the dynamics of how pickups are made in that video, and that's super, super important. Another super chat. Thank you so much. From Joey Dano Guitars. Did I miss something about Peyronie's disease? Somebody actually freaking got it. So I did not put this on the website yet, but I've been messing around with funny t-shirt designs. And I saw the Bent Carrot commercial about 2 weeks ago on TV, and I was like, I'm gonna put it on a t-shirt and I'm just gonna wear it in a video and see what happens. Doug, you're the man. You are the man. That's pretty awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, let's see. Let's delete this one and go on to the next one. Okay, this is a bad test. We got that one. Dude, you just talk way too much. Well, I was thinking to curb the fact that I have a YouTube channel that's called Dylan Talks Tone, that instead of not talking in a video where you have to actually explain things somehow, that I was thinking about maybe starting a new YouTube channel, like that's all ASMR, maybe, no talking, just the sound of strings being adjusted and pickups being wound. Or maybe Dylan Interpretive Dances Tone would be a good channel. Or maybe Dylan Mimes Tone sounds good too. Maybe we'll just do like a, some sort of miming channel where we mime tone. I think that might be, yeah. Let's go with that. Let's go with miming tone. I don't know. Interpretive dance also has a nice ring to it too. Dylan Mimes Tone, yeah. Ooh, Dylan Sniffs Tone. That is a great idea. Okay, Dylan Sniffs Tone is actually a really good idea. Let's see. Such a beautiful instrument, but the headstock on the Martins look like that of a $39.95 Walmart guitar. The problem is with that comment is that I don't know if you saw it on the headstock, but it says since 33, 43, 53, I don't know, something very, very old, way older than Sam Walton, way older than Walmart. So is it possible that the very standard for acoustic guitars in all of the world might have something in Walmart that's copied by it and not the other way around? Just a thought. It's possible. I just want to throw that out there in case somebody, yeah. Let's see. Oh, I like these ones too. Unboxing a D28. Take the bracelet off, dude. That looks like a catastrophe in the making. People really have a hard time with the fact that I wear jewelry. It is so weird to me. Nobody gives Slash a hard time about that. Nobody gives Lemmy a hard time about that. Nobody gives any rock star of anywhere a hard time about wearing rings or a bracelet or anything. And I don't know if you noticed this, but when you play guitar, you have a certain dexterity present in your hands. And so when you control how you strum, you can actually control your hand. It's not like flailing about with no reason, smacking into things. Your hand's just not going like this. Hopefully I don't smack my brand new Martin. When you play a guitar, there's a certain level of dexterity present. And so when you do that, I don't know about you, unless you play with your hand, just, I hope the strumming pattern works because my hand is completely out of control and I can't, and so it's a good thing that I don't wear jewelry on my strumming hand. You may play that way, but I don't. Typically, I can actually control, what goes on there, and my hands do what I tell them to do most of the time. And I've never, ever one time hit my guitar and made any kind of mark with my jewelry. Yeah, it's kind of funny to me that people make such a big deal about that. Maybe the jewelry uses gives you the right weight. Good question. Yeah, exactly. Dylan fingers tone. Maybe maybe that's what the dumb questions videos should be called. Dylan fingers tone. Oh, you guys are awesome. You guys are, if you whack guitars, the new guitars with a hammer a few times when you get them, then you don't have to worry. Exactly. That was always like the thing when I was in the motorcycle industry. That was always like the like superstition that if you got like a new pair of gloves or you got like some new gear, the first thing you do is throw it on the floor. You wouldn't do it with a helmet because helmets are, $1,000 and you're not supposed to smash them. But like your gloves or your boots or your, new motocross gear or whatever, because you don't want to be in it the first time it hits the ground, right? Like that's like the superstition. So you take your new gloves and you just toss them on the floor first time before you ride in it. Jewelry fixes neck dive. Oh yeah. Exactly. All right, cool. Glad we've covered that. I just think it's funny that people get hung up on the dumbest stuff. Oh, we already did the MGK one. Oh, Squire Paranormal Stratosonic. Using a plastic nut is egregious at this price point. That guitar is $549. First of all. Second of all, it's not a plastic nut. It's actually a tusk nut. So that is actually a premium part on a $549 guitar. And that guitar is a very inexpensive instrument. So that is Dylan Mock's tone. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Maybe that's what the roast video. We should do another rig roast. You know what? Actually, I'll tell you what, right now. Here's what I'm going to do. Here is what I'm going to do. Wow. Sidetrack a little bit. Sorry. But let's go over here to our Facebook page. And we're going to go over here to the Dylan Talks Tone Insiders group on Facebook. Now, if you've never been there, it's the Dylan Talks Tone Insiders Facebook group. And I'm going to put post rig pics here for the next rig roast, and we're going to do this soon. So you can go do that now. I'll make this some kind of bright color so that everybody can do that. There we go. So it's in the Dylan Talks Tone Insiders Facebook group. The address for that, just so everybody knows, is actually facebook.com/groups/Dylan Pickups. So if you have a hard time finding it. Well, there you go. We made a post for that. So let's do a rig. Let's do a rig roast again. Those were really fun. Dylan, have you seen any of the Driftwood Guitar Channel acoustic reviews? At the end of each video, they cut the guitar in half and show how the inside craftsmanship. I have seen that stuff. I would never do it, obviously, not with the stuff that I've got lately. This is an interesting one. How to get more sustain, the backbone versus the Fender Fat Finger. This comment is referring, I believe, to the Fat Finger. I have about 10 of these. Some of my guitars have 2, one on each side of the nut. I absolutely swear by them. How? Do you put two of those? One on each side of, like, on the string side? That's called a capo. Or are we talking about like one on the top of the neck and one on the bottom? Like, what is that? I don't get it. If you're in the comments and you made that comment, please elaborate on why you would put more than one of those on a guitar. That is hilarious to me. That is absolutely hilarious. I love it. 3 myths about guitar pots. No such thing as American-made pots. What about the Fender TBX tone control? The TBX tone control is actually, it's not made in the United States. I think it's an Alpha pot, actually. It might be CTS, but either of those are still made in Taiwan, I'm pretty sure. There's really no pots made in the United States. There are United States spec'd pots. So, like, for example, like Emerson will bring in, private labeled CTS pots. They'll sort through them and they will make sure they're within tolerance and whatever. But all that stuff is, now the companies are American, but they no longer make them here. Would be a nice guitar if Gibson decided to make a low-end collection for about $700 to $900. Anything more for this bare bones guitar is a scam. Talking about the modern light Les Paul, and they do make a $700 to $900 Les Paul. It's called an Epiphone. Yeah. If they made a $700 to $900 Gibson, then I would say that the Epiphone would be just as good. Let's see. Is guitar tone pointless? I'm sorry this guy hates Harley Benton so much. First of all, I don't. I have one of their tellies that I love. Is it the same as the original? No. But can I afford the Fender version? No. Thank God these companies came along and made cheaper versions of these guitars because most of us can't afford expensive stuff. Dude, I don't hate Harley Benton for the exact reason why you own one. Because I want you to have a guitar. And if you want a Tele style guitar and you cannot afford a Telecaster, I 100% believe that you should have that guitar. That is absolutely for sure. Do I need one? Nope, because I have a Telecaster. But you are the guy that guitar is for. Now, I don't hate the guitar. What is it? Don't hate the player, hate the game. I don't mind the game at all. Sometimes the player is annoying AF, though. So if you then become a person who says, now I can afford a regular Telecaster, but my $200 one is just as good as a regular Telecaster, then you're annoying. I don't hate the guitar. You're just annoying. What do you think about Bourne's pots? We actually put some in a kit today. In fact, I'll show you that here in just a minute. I kind of like how the feel when they turn the shafts, and somehow the feel is easier. Dude, I like them too for the two reasons, the soldering part too. So when you solder hang on. I just made some today. So this is I should mention too, we have on the website, we have Telecaster sets. So like, you can buy a Telecaster pickup set, and up until a couple of days ago, you could only get we have a bunch of different combinations, but one of the combinations was a complete drop-in set for a Telecaster. And with that kit, you would get a neck pickup, a bridge pickup that we wind, obviously, and you would get the wiring in 250, 250, 15 with a 3-way switch, with CTS stuff and an orange drop cap and an Oak Grigsby switch. And that, just the wiring though, and you would put it into your own plate. The other day we added to that combination. Now you can get, and that's what this is, you can actually get with the plate and the knobs and the switch tip and this one's actually reverse. So if you wanted to flip it, you could get everything, all the stuff. It's just a cost bump for the extra parts, but you could get everything, all of the knobs, both the knobs, the switch tip, the plate, and you can have it either way, whichever way you want. We just added that. But these are Bourne's 500s, and they're super nice. And what I like about soldering on the back of them is on a CTS pot, a CTS pot has this pin and bushing in the back of it, right? Like it's got that little deal right there. If you're not careful, you could drip solder in there if you don't know what you're doing, or you could overheat the bushing and mess up the pot. With a Bourne's pot, there's no guts in the back here. This is just a cap that goes over the back of the pot, but none of the internals are actually touching this. So if you're a beginner soldering person and you're worried about overheating stuff, first of all, take our solder course that's on the front page of our website, and you won't have to worry about that because it's not that hard. Second of all, then you can use these pots and you won't overheat them because the heat does not go into the internals of the pot. So it's kind of cool, especially if you're doing something super like involved and intricate, like where you have a bunch of stuff going, where you're, soldering a bunch of grounds and you're doing, push pulls and phase flips and maybe a freeway switch or something, and you got a lot of stuff going on, then Bourne's pots are easier to solder to the bottom of. Yeah, super cool. Great question. Let's see. So we already don't hate Harley Benton. We know that. Dude, this is pure Gibson sales and marketing is intended to make more money for Gibson. When people react, they make more money. When people overreact, they even make more money. He's talking about the Epiphone with the Gibson peg head. Yeah, so when you open a business, the idea is that you come up with an idea and you make a product, and then people see that product and they react to it and they go, ooh, I want that product. And then you sell a lot of them. And then you get to pay your employees. They get to eat. They get to stay in business. And then you get to do it again, like come out with another product. Sometimes you come up with a product and people are like, ooh, this is even cooler than the last one for reasons that don't even make sense, but I just really like it. Maybe overreacting to some. And lots of people buy that product, and then the company makes more money, and then they have to make more of them. So they hire more people, and then like all those people get to eat. Everybody gets to make money. Everybody gets a cool product, and then they get to do it again. That's called owning a guitar company. And that's the idea behind coming up with an idea that people react to. If no one reacts to the product, no one buys it, the company ceases to exist. So, just a thought, it's an interesting thing. What brand do you like for saddles? Like an Fender or a PRS style bridge? I don't really swap, excuse me. I don't really swap saddles out that much. I don't mess around with that. I'm not, we've got a bunch of videos on like if you have a less expensive guitar and you are experimenting to try to get like a vintage sound out of, a less expensive guitar, then do it. Absolutely do it. It's really cool. Play with materials over brands. Don't worry about brands so much. Play around with materials. Brass, steel, aluminum, graphite, titanium. That stuff's really fun. It makes a difference. Like in a Telecaster, for example. So do that. Like worry more about the materials than anything. If you want to mess with that. I don't, I just think the guitar's cool. If we have a less expensive one, like if we take a Squire, like a $400 Squire, well, I guess they're like $579 now. Hashtag inflation. But if you have a, $500 Squire, $600 Squire or whatever, and it's got the cheap pop metal parts, and it's got, you want to upgrade the bridge because you want better hardware because, those screws wear out really quick and that kind of stuff. So you want something quality on there. Then we'll do that. in that case, I would say like Wilkinsons are really cool. Clusen makes some really good stuff. Um, people want to spend money for Callahan and all that. I think that's super cork sniffy. I mean, I buy expensive pocket knives and expensive pens and stuff, and I don't have to. So I wouldn't get on somebody for saying, "Oh, you bought Callahan." But don't buy a Callahan bridge thinking that because you saw them tap on it on their website that you're going to get some kind of earth-shattering whatever, because it's just dumb. If you want it because it's cool, buy it because it's cool. But don't think that you're building some kind of, super guitar with parts that cost too much. But saddle material is really fun to play with. It for sure is fun to play with. Let's see. And that's the last of all of those that we got. So that's cool. Excellent. I think Dylan is ignoring me on purpose. Oh, dude, did I? I didn't mean to. Hang on. Let me just go back here. Sorry, Ivan. My computer is about to die too. I thought it was. Let's see. Does anyone remember DMC? DMC was a little different because there was all that cocaine business going on with them. John DeLorean was a little whack when it comes to that stuff. So I guess, they had to play into that. I'd like to own a DeLorean. One of my friends actually has a DeLorean. That was his dad's, and it has like 10,000 miles on it. It's actually the owner of Lucky Dog Guitars, Anthony Sims. If you ever go on Anthony Sims' Instagram or on his Facebook for Lucky Dog Guitars, sometimes you'll see that he'll have his DeLorean, and it was his father's. It had like original tires on it from way back when, and I really think it only has it might have 10 or 15,000 miles. It's like really brand new, so new and so undriven that he had to actually send it somewhere and have him like change out all the hoses and like do all the stuff before he could even start it because everything had just sat. Yeah, it's super cool. It's a neat car. Slow as crap. I don't know that I would really want to own one, but Van Chink Guitars with a super chat. I was referring to Paul's comment earlier too. Sorry about that. Cool. Awesome. Well, I guess that's about it. We try to keep these to about an hour on Tuesdays. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out with us for this here third installment of There's No Such Thing as a Dumb Question. I will take under advisement your Dylan Sniffs tone, and Dylan Mock's tone is pretty good. That might actually be, we might use that for the rig roast. So get over to the Facebook page, submit a picture of your rig. We don't roast anybody's rig. The reason I like doing these is because I like to see what everybody's playing. And I like to know, because when we have questions on YouTube, it helps for the whole community. To me, it's a community building thing. And it helps us all understand what we're all playing, what we're all using. Some surprises, some cool stuff. Oh, I have a piece of gear that nobody else has, or oh, I still have this thing from when I was 15 years old, like whatever. Super cool. I really dig it. And so we will do one of Dylan Diggs' tone. We will do it. We should also, I'm thinking, I have a concept that I'm actually going to run by Leslie, and I'm going to see what she thinks of it. I'm not going to tell you about it right now, but we'll see what happens. Thanks for hanging out, you guys. This has been super fun. See you on Thursday.